I never thought I'd be the kind of man who would tell a story like this, but maybe that's the thing about life, you never know what side of yourself you'll meet until you're standing face to face with it. It began on a humid Friday night, the kind that pressed against your skin and slowed time down. I had been invited over for what seemed like an innocent evening. Drinks, laughter, and light conversation, nothing that should have threatened the life we were all living. She was there, my friend's wife. I won't say her name here, for her protection, for mine, and for the silent promises we made in the shadows of that night. She wasn't just attractive, she was captivating in a way that felt dangerous. The kind of woman who carried both elegance and rebellion in her eyes. I had known her for years, but something in her gaze that night felt different. She looked at me longer than she should have, and I noticed. Our conversation slipped easily between playful banter and intimate undertones. My chest tightened whenever her hand brushed mine, and though I told myself to look away, I didn't. There's something unexplainable about forbidden energy, it pulls you in, even when you know it could burn you alive. I should have left when the others began drifting off. But she lingered, and so did I. We ended up in the kitchen, just the two of us, the quiet humming of the fridge filling the silence. She leaned closer, and I caught the scent of her perfume, subtle, floral, intoxicating. "You're different tonight," she whispered, her words almost a challenge. I could have laughed it off, excused myself, gone home to erase the thought before it took root. But instead, I asked her what she meant. That one question was the first step over a line I couldn't uncross. Her lips curved into a smile that told me she knew exactly what she was doing. And maybe I knew too. That night wasn't about love, it was about curiosity, temptation, and the silent boundaries we tell ourselves we'll never break. But we did. And what happened next became the first secret I ever shared with her, the first of many. She led me into the living room, dimly lit and filled with shadows. My heart raced so loudly I swore she could hear it. We didn't plan it, didn't script it, but everything in our bodies screamed for it. When she placed her hand on my chest, I froze. It wasn't fear, exactly, it was the realization that I was standing at the edge of something I might never come back from. My instincts told me to step away, but my desire begged me to stay. She leaned in, her breath brushing against my ear. "We shouldn't," she said softly, almost trembling. I whispered back, "Then tell me to leave." She didn't. Instead, she kissed me. It wasn't rushed, wasn't clumsy. It was the kind of kiss that unraveled a man, peeling away his defenses until there was nothing left but raw hunger. My hands found her waist, and she let out a sound so quiet it felt like a confession. We crossed that line. And once you do, there's no pretending it didn't happen. The couch became our stage, the silence our accomplice. Every touch carried the weight of what we were risking, but neither of us cared. In that moment, there was no world outside the room. Just two people drowning in each other, both terrified and thrilled by how easily it happened. When it was over, we didn't speak. We just sat there, breathless, our skin still warm, the air still thick with what we had done. She pulled her dress back into place, smoothed her hair, and looked at me with eyes that were both guilty and glowing. "Promise me," she said, "this stays between us." I nodded. That was the beginning of a silent pact. The next day, everything felt surreal. We were back to being who we had always been, except we weren't. The memory of her lips, her body, her voice, it lingered in every glance, every casual conversation we shared. Her husband never suspected a thing. He joked with me the same way he always did, unaware of the storm brewing behind my polite smile. That's the cruelest part of infidelity, it hides in plain sight, woven seamlessly into everyday life. But the secret weighed on me. At night, I'd replay the scene over and over, my body betraying me as much as my heart had. Was it lust? Was it something more? I didn't know. What I did know was that I couldn't stop thinking about her. She texted me once. Just one word, "Tonight?" I should have said no. I should have deleted the message, blocked her number, walked away before the fire consumed us both. But I didn't. And that night, we found ourselves tangled again. Each time it happened, it felt less like an accident and more like a choice. The thrill was addictive. The secrecy bound us together in ways I never expected. And yet, deep down, I knew it couldn't last forever. It ended not with anger, not with exposure, but with a conversation. One evening, after weeks of stolen nights and whispered promises, she stopped me mid-kiss. Her hand rested on my chest, and her eyes filled with something I hadn't seen before. "This has to stop," she said. I thought she was afraid of being caught. But she shook her head. "No, it's not that. I don't like the man I'm becoming." For the first time, I saw the weight of what we were doing, not just on her, but on me. Infidelity wasn't just a secret, it was a mirror, showing us sides of ourselves we never wanted to admit existed. She told me she wanted to reclaim herself, to set boundaries again. Not just with me, but with life. To respect what she had, even if it wasn't perfect. And I realized then that this story wasn't about love or lust. It was about the choices we make when lines blur, and the lessons we take when we finally decide to draw them again. I stayed anonymous because secrets like this don't need names. They need honesty. I'm not proud of what happened. But I'm not ashamed to admit it either. Because in that season of blurred lines, I learned something no classroom, no preacher, no self-help book could have taught me. Respect and boundaries aren't just about others, they're about ourselves. Crossing them feels thrilling in the moment, but the aftermath forces you to see who you really are. She wasn't caught. Her husband never knew. And maybe he never will. But we knew. We carried it. We chose to end it. And that's why I share this now, not as a scandal, not as a confession for pity, but as a reminder that sometimes the hardest lessons come wrapped in desire, temptation, and silence. I remain anonymous not because I fear judgment, but because I want the story, not the names, to live on. Because sometimes, one surprising moment is all it takes to teach us everything we didn't know we needed to learn. This anonymous confession reveals how a forbidden affair began with curiosity, burned with desire, and ended with a hard-earned lesson. Though she was never caught and their secret stayed hidden, both carried the weight of what they had done. What started as passion turned into a mirror, showing them the importance of respect, boundaries, and self-awareness. In the end, the affair wasn't just about secrecy, it was about growth. It taught that crossing lines may feel thrilling, but the real strength lies in knowing when to stop and reclaim yourself. Some secrets never surface, but the lessons they leave behind last a lifetime. Subscribe now for more anonymous infidelity confessions and unspoken relationship truths. Like, comment, and share if you've ever learned a hard lesson from crossing boundaries. Your support helps bring more untold stories to light.